Fake news, conspiracies and misinformation online are a growing and ever-present problem. In uncertain times such as these, we need to be more careful than ever of what we believe and where we get our news from.
NHS have warned about the amount of misinformation online.
Well, here at CBS 2, we are separating medical facts from myths and helping you make informed decisions.
Conspiracy theories about coronavirus have spread like wildfire. So much so, there are warnings of an infodemic.
Conspiracies can be just as infectious, just as dangerous as a virus, so you have to guard against them.
While news organizations have been doing their best to fact-check and limit the spread of fake news, there has been one part of the coronavirus story that may have been dismissed too easily. Here we look at how the idea that the novel coronavirus originated in a lab evolved from conspiracy theory to mainstream media talking point to a U.S. federal investigation.
Well, I don't want to say that, John, but I will tell you more and more we're hearing the story. And we'll see. When you say multiple sources, now there's a case where you can use the word sources.
The virus emerged from Wuhan, China at the end of January, and by early February it was a global pandemic. While scientists, researchers and doctors seek to find cures and treatments, the question of just how and where it came to be are still unknown. One hypothesis as to its origins has been shunned since it was first uttered: the notion that in some form or other it originated in the Wuhan virology lab. The lab, built in Wuhan in 2015, is China's only biosafety Level 4 super laboratory and is designed to research infectious diseases. Instead, the accepted consensus is that it emerged through unsanitary conditions in the city's wet market, spreading from animals, namely bats or pangolins, to humans. Due to this coincidence, concerns that the virus may have originated in a lab emerged at the end of January, with outlets such as the Daily Mail and the Washington Times publishing stories alluding to this conjecture. The Washington Post, however, quickly moved to dispel this line of thought and assembled all of the articles published by conservative-leaning outlets about the possibility that the virus was lab-borne and called it a fringe theory that needed to be debunked. In early February, the Washington Times wrote of the first semi-official response from the CCP. Global Times, a CCP-affiliated outlet, cited an in-depth report from Chinese experts who said that the coronavirus could not have been engineered in a laboratory. They also quote Xi Jinli, a research fellow at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, who wrote on her WeChat account that the 2019 novel coronavirus is a punishment by nature to humans' unsanitary lifestyle. I promise with my life that the virus has nothing to do with the lab. February 16th saw Arizona Republican Senator Tom Cotton speaking with news anchor Maria Bartiromo. She asked him about the theory that the COVID-19 coronavirus was an intentionally made bioweapon.
So, Maria, here's what we do know. This virus did not originate in the Wuhan animal market. Epidemiologists who are widely respected from China, who have published or studied in the international journal The Lancet, have demonstrated that several of the original cases did not have any contact with that food market. The virus went into that food market before it came out of that food market. So we don't know where it originated, but we do know that we have to get to the bottom of that. We also know that just a few miles away from that food market is China's only biosafety Level 4 super laboratory that researches human infectious diseases. Now, we don't have evidence that this disease originated there, but because of China's duplicity and dishonesty from the beginning, we need to at least ask the question to see what the evidence says, and China right now is not giving any evidence on that question at all.
The Post Millennial reported on February 17th that the coronavirus may have originated at a Wuhan lab. Referencing a report from biologists Baotao Zhao and Li Zhao that explored the histories of the laboratories and noted that diseased animals were hosted within the Wuhan Center for Disease Control and previous incidents of infections had occurred. That report has since been deleted. The New York Times tried to dispel concerns, saying that right-wing media outlets who see China as a threat give conspiracy theories a boost, and The Lancet outright condemned the assertion that the virus may have been made in a lab. Beijing had by this time begun rumors that the virus was part of the US plot to destabilize China's global influence. And while hard evidence of the leak from the virology lab could not be found, the New York Post noted on February 22nd that the Chinese Ministry of Science and Technology released a new directive titled Instructions on Strengthening Biosecurity Management in Microbiology Labs that Handle Advanced Viruses like the novel coronavirus, only a few days after an emergency meeting held by President Xi Jinping on February 14th. By early March, the theory that the virus was leaked, albeit unintentionally, from the Wuhan lab had gained traction around the Chinese and Western web, and news sites such as Vox and the Wall Street Journal ran stories attempting to debunk this. Regardless of whether the virus originated in a lab, China's disinformation campaign surrounding the illness led observers such as the World Health Organization to underestimate its severity. The WHO only declared COVID-19 a pandemic on March 11th, and a study conducted at the University of Southampton concluded that, had earlier action been taken by China, the global number of cases could have been cut by 66%. And many questions about China's initial handling of the outbreak remain, including that China forbade interprovincial travel in our own borders originating from Hubei province, but allowed residents of Wuhan to travel across the globe. By April 16, US intelligence officials were investigating the source of the outbreak as potentially, albeit unintentionally, lab-based. Officials do not believe that it was a manufactured weapon. They do not believe that the virus was set upon the world on purpose. But they are looking into its origins and the Chinese Communist Party's cover-up. While the idea that the virus was made in a lab has been thoroughly denied, the idea that it may have been discovered there is now under investigation.